right, welcome everybody to the February 15th, 2023 meeting of the Traffic and Transportation Advisory Commission. If you will please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Orozco,
Here.
Vice Chair Pletcher,
Here.
Chair Emel,
Present.
and Commissioner Hayek is absent.
So it's my understanding that we do have a new commissioner joining us for the first time this evening. And she did take the oath of office prior to the meeting tonight, correct?
That is correct.
Ms. Orozco, would you like to say a few words?
Sure, thank you. I'd just like to say I'm very honored to be a part of this commission, and I'm looking forward to serving my community in whatever capacity that I can. Thank you.
Excellent. I'm sure you're going to do a fine job. We'll show you the ropes. We've now come to that place in our agenda where we need to elect a new chair and vice chair for the upcoming year. Do the commissioners have any nominations?
Chair, before we get to that,
Sure.
There's an item before that which is oath of office for 2 commissioners, right? And staff is requesting that item be continued to a future meeting if necessary. As you just mentioned, Commissioner Orozco has already been sworn in, and Commissioner Callahan is not with us this evening, so he may need to be sworn in at a later date. So we're requesting that item be continued to the next meeting if
Right.
necessary.
Right, absolutely. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. So Commissioner Brendan Callahan is not with us tonight, so we will continue that to the next meeting, pending Mr. Callahan getting sworn in. And with that, we do have a quorum to continue. We don't need a motion, right?
You don't need a motion now. You just
Okay.
move on.
Okay. So we can now move to election of chair and vice chair. And again, do we have any nominations? Can somebody nominate themselves?
I have
Or-
a nomination.
Sure.
I'd like to nominate Vice Chair Pletcher as chair.
And I don't think we have any other nominations. So I think we can take a vote on that. Okay. Yeah. Do you accept? Do you accept the nomination?
Let's see if I get the votes first.
Okay. Madam Secretary, can you call the vote?
Okay. Commissioner Orozco,
Yes.
Commissioner Pletcher,
Yes.
Chair Emel.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 3-0. Congratulations, Chair Pletcher.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I'm very happy to now turn this over to you.
I hear it comes with a gavel.
It does. Here, let me give you
Nice.
all of the accoutrements of chairdom, and you'll be on your way.
Okay. Moving on to item 6, election of vice chair. I will open it up to all the commission if they wish to nominate a candidate for vice chair.
Keeping in step with tradition, I would nominate Victor Hayek as vice chair.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for the role of vice chair? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll? Or call the vote, I'm sorry.
Sure. Commissioner Roscoe,
Yes.
Chair Pletcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Amell.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 7, public comments. Ms. Vasquez, may I ask you to please make the public comments announcement?
This is the time and place for public comments. Registration for public comments is available for those wishing to address the Traffic Commission regarding items on the agenda or on a subject within the city's jurisdiction. Speakers for specific agenda items shall be called and heard during that specific item. All remarks should be addressed to the Traffic Commission as a whole. Speakers are requested to state their name and community of residence for the record. Under state law, public comment matters may not be considered by the Traffic Commission unless listed on the agenda, but may be referred to the city engineer for administrative follow-up. 2 individuals have requested to speak on this item, and pursuant to Traffic Commission standards, public comment speakers are allowed 3 minutes for the record. No written statements have been submitted. Also, please silence all cell phones during the meeting, and please remember to mute your microphones when you are not speaking.
Thank you, Ms. Vasquez. May we have our first speaker, please?
Let's see. Okay, so currently neither of them are signed on, so I can't allow anybody to speak.
Okay. Just to confirm, then there's no one else for public comment?
For public comments, no.
Thank you. Hearing no one else for public comment, we'll move on to item 8, our recognition of outgoing commissioners Mick Ferris and Mr. Rick Lemma. The outgoing commissioners will be presented with a accommodation signed by the mayor. And I don't know which order we're starting with. Okay. Should I present? Okay. Nick, you came up first. So this is a accommodation in honor of your work for the Thousand Oaks Traffic and Transportation Commission. Whereas you served from October 2020, serving until December 2022. And I'll just go ahead and read through the accommodation. Whereas Mick has volunteered countless hours of service to the city of Thousand Oaks during his tenure as traffic commissioner and has provided invaluable input on traffic-related issues, including traffic safety at schools, oversized vehicle ordinance, rectangular rapid flashing beacon, crosswalk enhancements, intersection mini roundabout treatments, the speed hump policy, neighborhood traffic calming measures, traffic signal installation policy, traffic signal detection and communication, bicycle infrastructure improvements, stop sign installations, flashing left turn yellow arrows, and the city's crossing guard policy and procedures. And whereas Mick's contributions as commissioner of the city's Traffic and Transportation Advisory Commission have proven to be an invaluable resource in the city's decision-making process. And this is signed by the mayor.
Is this on? Yeah. Thank you. So first of all, I just want to thank you all for the opportunity to serve on the commission. I want to congratulate Commissioner Roscoe for her new term and the opportunity to work with Chair Pletcher, Commissioner Emil, former Commissioner Lemo, and Commissioner Hayek, now Vice Chair Hayek. I always find it's an honor to serve the city in which you love, and the opportunity to be able to do so is I always take pride in the opportunity to be able to help craft our city and move it in the direction that we would all like it to go. I want to thank staff for the incredible work that you always do in supporting the Traffic Commission's decisions and in answering any of my questions. And it's odd. You start coming in with COVID where you're kind of viewing everybody on a screen. But now with the opportunity to kind of work with everyone in person is very nice. It's surprising on the number of things that you're involved with. I can't wait to hear all the things former Commissioner Lemo was involved in for his long tenure and esteemed service to the city. So thank you all very much. I really appreciate it.
And before we go on, I'll turn to any of the commissioners wish to make any comments to outgoing Commissioner Ferris.
Yes,
Sir.
Chair. Thank you, Chair. Mr. Ferris, we didn't have much time to sit on this commission together, but I just want to say I really enjoyed getting to know you, and I really enjoyed working with you on the commission. I think that you brought a level of thoughtfulness and a level of critical thinking that that this commission needs. You weren't a rubber stamp. I think that in the items that came before us, you took them very seriously. And I had already been sitting on this commission 2 years before you joined. But you brought a freshness to the commission, and it kind of reinvigorated me and made me really think about what my role on this commission is. And so I just wanted to let you know that I appreciated that, and I appreciate you. Thanks very much.
Yeah, I'd just like to take a moment to say thank you so much for your years of dedicated public service, and the fact that you are continuing that in a different capacity is really wonderful, and the Planning Commission is lucky to have you.
Thank you. Certainly echoing a lot of what my fellow commissioners have said. It's. I appreciated how well. I mean, even looking back at the this tiny little crossing guard issue that we tackled for about 3 months. Now, all of our time together has been you providing very thoughtful and insightful comments, coming at it with a public servant heart for the betterment of our community. And, your role, as the commissioner mentioned, your role is continuing on the Planning Commission. And, I appreciate and will say our city's better off for it. And certainly want to thank you for taking your time to volunteer, because we're all busy with other commitments and things, but it truly says that you want to help the people of Thousand Oaks by being here and taking the time to do so. So from me to you, thank you very much. And, you get to have meetings on Mondays now. So that's not too bad. All right, turning to Commissioner Lemo, and I may need a break to get through this. This is he's been on the commission for a little bit. I'll go through it. Whereas Rick Lemo was appointed to the Thousand Oaks Traffic and Transportation Advisory Commission in May 2005, serving until December 2014. And Rick was reappointed to the Traffic and Transportation Advisory Commission in November 2016, serving until December 2022. And whereas Rick has volunteered countless hours of service to the city of Thousand Oaks during his tenure as traffic commissioner, and has provided invaluable input on the traffic-related issues. including traffic safety guardrail installations, Thousand Oaks Boulevard parking and streetscape issues, traffic improvement mitigation fee program, Thousand Oaks active transportation plan, traffic calming roadway striping, traffic safety at schools, oversized vehicle ordinance, rectangular rapid flashing beacon crosswalk enhancements, intersection mini roundabout treatments, speed hump policy, neighborhood traffic calming measures, traffic signal installation policy, traffic signal detection and communications, bicycle infrastructure improvements, stop sign installations, flashing left turn yellow arrows in the city's crossing guard policy and procedures, and Rick's contributions as commissioner of the city's Traffic and Transportation Advisory Commission span 16 years of total service and have proven to be an invaluable resource in the city's decision-making process. So on behalf of the mayor, if you'd come up here, Mr. Lemo, I'd love to present this to you and offer you the microphone for any comments.
Good evening, Commissioners. To no one's surprise, I do have some comments. 16 years is a long time. I've been humbled and honored to go all the way back to the days of Denny Gillette and Andy Fox as far as two of the council members who have appointed me to the commission. And I remember early talks with them and wanted to take the opportunity to convey a little bit of what I was first advised when I joined the Traffic Commission. In 16 years, you get to learn a lot. I learn a lot about our city and our citizens, but you get to learn a lot about what you think you already know before you get here. And you learn a whole different idea of what the Traffic Commission is about. I was told something long ago, and I offer this advice to you. Please remember that you are not elected. You're appointed. So there is no consequence to your action. The public doesn't have a checks and balance. What are we here for? First and foremost, safety, the safety of our citizens. We have a unique benefit that no one else has, or no one else takes advantage of as much as I think we do. I have known actually most of the staff members since I've been on here, even retired a traffic commissioner, Mr. Hallowell, at one point in time. Our staff is second to none. I have had the opportunity to work in 7 different Southern California cities as a volunteer in various ways, and I had to do business in those cities. All wonderful, if they're listening, all wonderful people. Nothing compared to the staff here in Thousand Oaks. So the second piece of advice I would give you is not only remember that you're not elected, and technically you're not running for anything either from this seat, but remember that you have a backstop that no one has. Okay? The analogy that came up today was if you watch the Super Bowl, people thought that Hurts scored a touchdown, but it was really the 4 guys pushing him in over the goal pole. That's our staff. Our city staff is patient. They've had to educate me 4 or 5 times over the course of the years on something that they had educated me on before. We've had to learn over and over again from our staff that stop signs are not a speed controlling device. And you got to keep that in the back of your mind because you're tempted all the time to do those kinds of things. I can tell you that I've relied on our staff a lot because I trust them, and they've always given good advice. Their work behind the scenes is unbelievable. Sometimes we have public comment that says, well, they really didn't do an adequate survey in my neighborhood. I can tell you that if they did a survey, it's more than adequate. Okay? There's been a couple of funny things that have happened too. We did have staff do a survey and come back with results. And a citizen came forward and said, those results aren't good enough. I want you to do it again. I'm not going to tell you what the intersection was or who the person was. But we came to find out, and I think it was with the help of the police, that the person who came and made the comments wanted a certain result. So he kept driving back and forth over the counter to poke the results up, and he got caught. But what that proved to me was our staff was willing to go the extra mile. Okay, let's try it one more time. And so my second piece of advice is be grateful and respectful of staff, because our staff is the best. You're taking no chances by trusting them. And last but not least, if you're not elected, there's no politics involved. So whatever the political climate of the day might be, whether it be for speed humps or whatever, safety is your number one thing. And staff will facilitate helping you come to the right decision. And I can't remember many times when staff's recommendation or a little jogging of that wasn't what was the right thing to do. So last but not least, remember, this really is a volunteer committee. There's, if you want to be a city council member, there's planning commission and there's all kinds of committees and things in the city. This is based around safety. And so I thank you for being not only patient tonight, but patient during our discussion, particularly the last 2 years that you were here. I want to congratulate Chair Email, because I've seen a lot of first-time chairs. You did a really good job, and I appreciate that. So with that, thank you very much for this honor. I don't know how well deserved it is, but thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I'll go ahead and open it up to fellow commissioners for any comments on Commissioner Lemma. Sir.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Lemo, your service to the city is stuff that legends are made of. Your knowledge and your experience was priceless on this commission. And I got to say, a little bit intimidating, because when I joined the commission during my first term, you were kind of like this sage old owl sitting up here leading the meetings, and I was like, whatever he says goes, because whatever I've got to say is going to pale in comparison to what he just said. So, that speaks volumes about how long you've been doing this and the seriousness with which you took the task, and you were a consummate professional. I appreciate your guidance. I appreciate all the advice, and now it's up to me and to the rest of us to put it into action. So thank you very much for everything, and the best in all that you do from this day forward.
Commissioner Orozco.
I will keep it quick. Although I didn't have the pleasure of knowing you and working with you alongside you, I will say that the many years of public service that you have given to the city of Thousand Oaks is very honorable, and thank you personally and as a resident, and thank you.
Thank you, and Commissioner Lemma, I'll just add and echo certainly the commitment to public service. And one of the things you just set up there is one of the first things the first time I was on the Traffic Commission, you drilled it into my head, and I remember it is, you're here for safety. And you said it, you echo it tonight, and it's not only never left me, but it's certainly never left this room during any of our meetings and times that we've served and worked on together. And it is a testament when we have members of our community that are willing to serve such long periods of time, volunteer long periods of time for the benefit of everyone. And, I say I always appreciate history. I always appreciate kind of the foundation in which we, and the why that we do things. And I always appreciate that anytime I came to the meeting, you had the context and the knowledge and the history. And truthfully, that's your contributions, I mean, are stuff of legends, I think is a good way to explain it. And, we really should start putting plaques on maybe speed humps or something for outgoing commission. I know we do that for council, but that could be, or chairs in here. I don't know. But if we did, I'm certain, you would have a plaque somewhere along the way for your contribution. And I know it's funny. I mean that in jest, but also it's true. Your contribution has been well established. So thank you. Moving on to item 10. I'm sorry. And we can go back up to the public speakers.
Yes, you can reopen the public.
Okay. We'll go ahead and move back up and reopen public comment, item 7. Probably best if we have Mrs. Vasquez, can we please have the public comment announcement just one more time to let our speakers know?
This is a time and place for public comments. Registration for public comments is available for those wishing to address the Traffic Commission regarding items on the agenda or on a subject within the city's jurisdiction. Speakers for specific agenda items shall be called and heard during that specific item. All remarks should be addressed to the Traffic Commission as a whole. Speakers are requested to state their name and community of residence for the record. Under state law, public comment matters may not be considered by the Traffic Commission unless listed on the agenda, but may be referred to the city engineer for administrative follow-up. 2 individuals have requested to speak on this item. And pursuant to Traffic Commission standards, public comment speakers are allowed 3 minutes for the record. Let's see. So we're ready for the first speaker, if you are.
Wonderful. May we have the first speaker, please?
Okay. The first speaker is Karen Martin. Karen, please click unmute and state your name and city of residence for the record. You will be reminded when you have 1 minute remaining, again and again when your time is up. Karen?
I can hear you. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
All right. I appreciate the time you guys are giving me this evening. It's Karen Martin from Thousand Oaks, California. I think I hit it on a good night because I'm here for safety too. After multiple calls to the Sheriff's Department, spoke to a desk sergeant, and he suggested I come to the city because I live just off of Lynn Road, and we've been having a lot of racing. It happens usually Thursday, Friday, Saturdays after 8:30, any time up until 1 or 2 in the morning. When I talked to the sergeant from the desk, he explained to me that resources are thin in Thousand Oaks, and that they can't really address the traffic issues that need to be addressed with racing. I know we have a car culture in this town, and I love cars. I just don't think what's happening is safe. My neighbors talk to me about it because they know I'm very adamant about speed and safety in this space because we all back up to Lynn Road, and it's a residential area. It's a great road to race on. You know, it's curvy, but it comes down, it narrows down here. There's an elevation and a curve right by the hospital. And I think we probably have some people on both that go all ways. They go up and down West Jance, and they go down Lynn Road. And, you know, you can't really catch somebody racing because they're going really fast. Unless they go right by you and then you catch them. But they're usually out on other calls, or at least that's what I'm being told. So I'm asking the Traffic Commission if they could maybe put their head together and figure out some kind of a solution for us here, because we really...
You have 1 minute.
We really can't stand any more death, little burning young human beings or old human beings, because I won't say it's going to be young people all the time. So I open it up to you. I've got 30 seconds left. Somebody give me an idea what could be done. It'd be great.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. May we have our second speaker, please?
Okay, second speaker is Betsy Connolly. Please click unmute and state your name and city of residence for the record. You'll be reminded when you have 1 minute remaining and again when your time is up to speak. Okay, so Betsy?
Hi, this is Betsy Conley. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I wanted to ask you if you would place a link to the public portal on your Traffic Commission page and or provide both the HTML and the PDF packet version on that page. I maintain 4 websites for various organizations, and I see that a high proportion of our users are accessing our sites with a mobile phone. And the PDF packet is a very cumbersome product to deal with on a mobile phone. And for those lower income residents who don't have a fancy phone, the PDF packet creates all kinds of problems with downloading and access. So the City Council and the Planning Commission provide the HTML access on their pages, and I think that you should either direct people to the public portal and or provide it on your own page. And the other thing I wanted to say is that the public comment webinar registration only allows me to pick certain agenda items and doesn't offer an opportunity to click on other agenda items or perhaps one that just says other agenda item, that one could put that item in. I believe as a member of the public, I have a right to speak on every agenda item, and I wanted to make comments on item, I can't even remember now which it was, 11, I think it was, and I couldn't choose that. So I think you should open up an other category for that. That's all I got.
You have 1 minute. Oh.
Thank you, Dr. Conley. Do we have any other speakers?
No other speakers.
Thank you. And turning back to staff, are there any responses to our public speaker comments at this time?
Yes, I'll start. Nader Haidari, City Engineer, and then we can have additional staff contribute as well if I miss anything. On the first speaker regarding Lynn Road, that's staff is aware of that. Primarily, that's an enforcement, a driver behavior item in terms of vehicles speeding. We have that on other roadways as well. And obviously, that's something we're focusing on. And Sergeant Patterson can comment further on that if there's additional updates on that item. In terms of the second item, staff will follow up and make some enhancements and improvements to the links and portal and ability to register under other items as well and so forth, and endeavor to put a link to the city portal that has the HTML and the PDF version, which might be a little bit easier for the mobile device.
Thank you, Mr. Haidari. Any other staff?
Yeah, I'd like to just add a few additional comments regarding the first speaker, the concern with safety along Lynn Road. We do realize that speeding is a citywide issue, so we know Lynn Road is not the only street in the city that gets a frequent number of calls for speed enforcement. I do want to point out that the city has a couple documents assembled. One is called the Active Transportation Plan, which is geared towards pedestrian and bicycle safety, which identifies pedestrian and bicycle improvements. So there are some things that we're doing behind the scenes that try to address issues that have been brought up to us in the past, and that document addresses the pedestrian and bicycle issues. We also have another document called the Local Road Safety Plan. It's another document that our two gentlemen tonight are going to speak on items, I believe, 10A and 10B, that addresses issues citywide, similar to what the first speaker was talking about. And, we're trying to address issues of speed, and that document identifies projects that the city is seeking grant money for to, I guess, have construction projects that can help relieve some of these safety issues that the public has been addressing to us. So, this isn't the first time we've heard of speeding on Lynn Road, and this goes back years. So that's why the city has looked at to create these documents so that we can prioritize which projects we're going to go after and try to address these issues for the public.
Thank you, Mr. Mashiko. Any other staff wishes to respond? Okay, hearing none, I will go ahead and close the public comment period and move on to item 10, our engineering reports. Oh, I'm sorry, item 9. See, this is why they put the former chair right next to me, so I can learn numbers. Item 9, summary notes from our December 11th, 2022 meeting. There's no presentation or anything on this, right? Correct? Okay. Looking over our summary notes from the meeting. Were there any comments on the summary notes? Okay. Hearing none, I had nothing to add. We'll go ahead and move on to item 10. See, we checked that box quickly. Item 10 are engineering reports. 10A is rectangular rapid flashing beacon crosswalk enhancements at 8 different intersections. And may we please request engineering associate Ackart. Did I say that right? I'm gonna make sure to present the first report tonight.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening. My name is Bradley Ackert. Tonight I'm going to be discussing the proposed crosswalk enhancements at 8 locations within the city. I'm going to start by providing an overview of the 8 locations and how they were selected. I want to briefly discuss the grants that will help supplement the cost of this proposal. I will transition into the crosswalk enhancements themselves, and I will finish up by explaining the public outreach and provide a staff recommendation. All right, so let's get into it. This is a map that shows all 8 locations with a corresponding number. The locations are Avenida de los Arboles at Calle Castano, Lynn Road at LaGrange Avenue, Wendy Drive at Aranlea Avenue, La Granada Drive at Wilder Street, Avenida de las Flores at Avenida de las Plantas, Jans Road at Hendricks Avenue, Avenida de las Plantas at Calle Tulipan, and Camino Calandria at Darlington Drive. So, many of you might be asking, how exactly did the Traffic Division come up with this list? The Public Works Traffic Division drafted a local road safety plan, which was approved by City Council in August 2021. This plan was developed to improve commuter, bicyclist, and pedestrian safety in Thousand Oaks. Through the establishment of the LRSP, a data analysis was conducted with the resulting recommendations identifying numerous safety improvements throughout the city's network within the city. The street network within the city, I'm sorry. One of these projects identified in the city's adopted LRSP is to provide pedestrian enhancements at 8 marked crosswalks based on one or more of the following criteria: number of pedestrian collisions, high speeds, horizontal and/or vertical curves, street width, and documented citizen concerns. I also want to mention that the city was required to adopt a local road safety plan in order to apply for apply for the Highway Safety Improvement Program. Now I'd like to provide some more insight into the Highway Safety Improvement Program. The HSIP is a grant program administered by Caltrans. The purpose of this program is to achieve a significant reduction in traffic fatalities and serious injuries on all public roads. HSIP is one of the core federal aid programs and helps limit the cost of safety improvements to local agencies. The Traffic Division applied for an HSIP grant to approve the 8 marked crosswalks, and this project was approved by Caltrans. Following approval, the design was completed in-house. So let's discuss an overview of the crosswalk enhancements. Solar-powered rectangular rapid flashing beacons at each crosswalk, along with a pedestrian push button to activate the system. So this beacon will not be constantly flashing, and we need to be activated by a pedestrian. For the advanced pedestrian signs, a solar-powered beacon will be installed on top of the advanced sign. The beacons communicate wirelessly, so once the push button has been activated, this beacon will begin to flash and help grab drivers' attention. We will be installing yield lines, otherwise known as shark teeth, as well as the yield here to pedestrians regulatory signs. This provides drivers with a place to wait while pedestrians are crossing the street. Here's a copy of the sample design plan for Wendy Drive at Aaron Leah Avenue, containing all the upgrades we just covered. Public outreach was performed in advance of this Traffic and Transportation Advisory Commission meeting. Letters were sent to every address in a 500-foot radius from all 8 crosswalk locations. In total, 453 meeting notifications were mailed on February 8, 2023. As of this moment, we have not received feedback from any residents. I want to provide a tentative schedule for this project. We are planning to advertise for construction bids this summer. The city portion of the funding is set to be included in the upcoming capital budget, which goes into effect July 1st, pending City Council approval. Later in the summer, we will bring the contract to the City Council. We anticipate construction beginning in fall 2023 and the completion by spring 2024. Now, let us conclude with the staff recommendation. The recommendation is in the staff report and contains the following. Consider the staff report and receive public input regarding the proposed crosswalk enhancements. Provide comments on the final design concept and request staff seek City Council authorization to advertise the project for construction bids later this year. This project will bring these 8 crosswalks in compliance with state and federal best practices to achieve maximum driver yield compliance rates for pedestrians who attempt to cross the street. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much for the presentation. I will open it up to the commission if they have any questions for staff. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ackert, for the presentation. So, if I understand correctly, the HSIP grant administered by Caltrans was approved for the city of Thousand Oaks.
Yes, sir.
So when you say here that the total project cost of $217,000 will be offset by the HSIP funds in the amount of $179,000, we can bank that. That is set in stone.
Yes, the $179,000 has been approved. It's set in stone. The cost estimate may go up a little bit because that was done in 2021 and materials are going up. So it could be a little more expensive, but the $179,000 set in stone.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners? I just had one, I guess, slightly technical, and this is more my curiosity. I noticed a lot of the proposed improvements include something that is solar powered. Is that kind of I'm just curious, is that kind of the industry standard, or are there options where there would be, you'd actually wire in or do electric lights and beacons, and we're making a choice, which I think is the right one, to go solar?
Yeah, the industry's definitely leaning towards solar. And then the other thing is it's less construction. We don't have to tear up any concrete. We don't have to remove any sidewalk panels to wire this all in. And they communicate with each other. So as long as they're within a line of sight, they can communicate. So as the button gets pushed, they're all on the same page. They all flash in unison, and they grab drivers' attention.
Because I think it's absolutely fantastic, kind of gravitating towards solar for, all those reasons. Construction gets expensive, and it just drives project cost up. And we obviously want to maintain, a balance between cost while adding to safety. So, thank you for looking at that, pushing it towards that direction. I wanted to just ask, actually more of just a comment and just quick comment. I appreciate all of the public outreach that staff did regarding this. I always, I'm a big believer in staff outreach. So thank you. Before we open up the public comment period, I just want to go back. Commissioners, any other questions? Okay. I'd like to offer the public, of course, an opportunity to speak on this item before commission begins its further discussion and deliberation. And looks like we have one speaker card for this item. Just want to confirm, any other speaker cards on this item?
No other speaker cards, but we do have two other speakers after this
wonderful.
person waiting to speak.
I will take we'll go in-house first, and then we'll go back to Zoom if that's okay. Our first speaker is Mr. McBride. Sir, if you'd like to come up to the podium, and you have 3 minutes.
Things on, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks for having me here. I appreciate it. It's great to see the process as well, so thank you. Voted for some of you guys. Fantastic. My name is Sean McBride, Thousand Oaks, California. 30-plus year resident, 8 years on the street in question on Avenida Arbalest. Really safety. I've raised 3 kids in this community. I think that gentleman that got the award there probably helped protect them quite a bit growing up here. This, without a doubt, is needed where we live. I'm not going to get into speed limits and enforcement because that's not what this is about. The way the street is curved, the amount of traffic on that street. I've seen people hit in the crosswalk. I've seen animals hit in the street in front of my house. I've almost been hit in the crosswalk several times. So I think it's a needed, and I've seen it work on Thousand Oaks Boulevard, I believe. There's sort of this kind of setup is there. When I saw these guys and I got the announcement to come participate, I did. I wish we had more people here tonight, but that's Thousand Oaks. So give me a mic and I won't shut up, obviously. But if we just go back to safety, the line of sight, the speed of the cars, the quantity of vehicles passing down the street, school time, closing time. You guys love this community. You know it really well. Just anything that could give a pedestrian a chance to be seen would really be useful. There's a father of 3 that moved in 2 years ago down the street, and I don't know if you know the story of this guy, but he dresses up in the big wavy thing you see at car dealerships to walk his kids across the street. And the first time I was like 911, like, what is that guy doing up there? But that's what a parent is doing to try and ensure their kids don't get run over in the crosswalk with them. So safety, I love this idea. I'll support it as much as I can. Going green as well, fantastic. Why not? Less construction. I like the way the street looks.
You have 1 minute.
I like the way the town feels. So that's a smaller imprint, smaller footprint. So I like that. But mostly it's, that's the first time I've heard the term shark's teeth, but that crosswalk is literally shark's teeth for people when drivers aren't paying attention. It's just, you don't have much of a chance when they're coming east. So I hope you guys push through it. I hope you go for it. I'll be out there cheering it when it gets done. And I appreciate the time and the council for taking the steps to ensure a safe community for me and my family. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. We'll now go back to our speakers on Zoom, and may we have the second speaker, please?
Okay, so the next speaker is Betsy Connolly. Please click unmute and state your name and residence of the record. You'll be reminded when you have 1 minute remaining, and again when your time to speak is up. Betsy?
Hi, this is Betsy Connolly. I live in Lynn Ranch, and I wanted to speak on this item to say how much I appreciate that the city is adding 8 more rapid flashing beacon crosswalks. And pedestrian experiences are very challenging in our city. And because of that, I think we're seeing fewer and fewer people walking. And I hope that these beacon crossings will help to reverse that trend. I have some personal experience with Lynn Ranch at LaGrange. I came through that intersection just a few days ago and watched a car traveling alongside me, because that's 4 lanes, 2 in each direction, and they are moving really fast. You feel slow at 50. And the car next to me saw the pedestrian out in the crosswalk, and instead of stopping, he honked at him. And I think in addition to improving the intersection with flashers, there's a lot of education of drivers that probably needs to take place as we reaffirm the rights of pedestrians to be on our streets and crossing our traffic. So thank you for the improvements, and I look forward to it making a difference.
Thank you, Dr. Conley. May we have our third speaker, please?
Okay, our third speaker is Samantha Anderson. Please click unmute and state your name and city of residence for the record. You will be reminded when you have 1 minute remaining, and again when your time is to speak is up. Samantha?
Hi, yes. Thank you guys so much for hosting this. I apologize for any background noise. Grown up in the Conejo Valley. My husband has grown up directly in Thousand Oaks, just right up the street from where we live. We live on Kai Tulipan in Thousand Oaks. So we use the crosswalk at Plantis and Tulipan quite a bit to take our son to the grandparents' house, to walk to the park. And it is, it's a blind sight. You can't see cars coming down the hill until you're almost out into the middle of the crosswalk. I was really excited to see the letters come in the mail, because this has been something that I have always wanted to bring to the forefront. As we grow our family, I want to feel safe with my child walking across the street by himself, eventually to maybe go to his grandparents' house, wherever that may be. Anyways, it's a truly important piece of our community, for our kids, for our families to feel safe. I know our neighborhood directly has seen an influx of young families move to the area. And I can speak on behalf of a handful of our neighbors that also would, strongly support this. So really appreciate this being brought to the forefront, and want to stress how important it is. If you go out there and stand on that corner, you could see exactly what we're talking about. It's a blind sight for vehicles and pedestrians. I always thought a 4-way stop sign would be great, but I love the idea of just the pedestrian crosswalk in and itself. So thank you again for bringing this to the forefront, and really hope to see this be moved forward.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Wanted to confirm, do we have any further speakers this evening?
No other speakers.
Thank you. Any staff response to speaker comments? Okay, hearing none. Any further questions for staff from commissioners? Commissioner Immel.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Ackert, is it possible to get back up on the screen the picture of the beacon or the post? I know that one of the things that we're supposed to be looking at is the final design concept. Just wanted to see it once more. Right. So is this apparatus, is that going to be posted on both sides of the street, or is that only on one side of the street?
That apparatus is on both sides of the street, and the signs are back to back, so they can be seen from both directions on both sides. So if you're approaching and there's like a blind curve like they're talking, they're going to be on both sides of the street, so you might not see the one on the right side of the street, but you'll see the one on the left as you're coming around the corner.
So if one post is activated, if the beacon is activated, it transmits to the one across the street?
That is correct. They're as long as there's a line of sight between the two, they're communicating and they're working together.
Okay, thank you.
I actually had something else to add. There were some cases where there were vertical curves, and we put the advance in the median. So it's in the middle of the street. It'll be flashing in the middle of the street to help grab drivers' attention, to help alleviate exactly what we're talking about.
Does the city staff anticipate installing any of these beacons in the middle of the street, or the margin in the middle of the street, median? Yeah.
It's more going to be the advanced one, so the pedestrian ahead, and all the streets that we're putting them on, it's a two-way left turn lane. So it's not in a curb median, it's in the two-way left turn lane. And the way we spaced them all out, they're away from driveways. They're not going to be getting in the way of any cars, and they'll be in the middle of the street to help get drivers' attention.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions for staff?
I have a question.
Yes.
More of a point of clarification. So just so that I'm clear, the apparatus that's flashing, they're just going to be on the corners, not necessarily like sometimes we see within the street or on the in the pavement necessarily. It's just the shark's teeth.
You're talking about the in-ground pavement markers that light up?
Yeah.
So that's some older technology, and what we found is they're really expensive to maintain. They get ran over constantly,
Sure.
and they're not as effective as something that's elevated because the driver's more looking ahead rather than at the ground. So this is the future technology. This is more effective.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, part of that issue, I believe, is a lot of the newer vehicles with the SUVs and so forth are higher. So you can see the state going to more of an emphasis on elevated components as opposed to relying on something in the pavement, which is for some vehicles maybe harder to see.
Thank you. Any further questions? Okay, hearing none. I will go ahead and close this item to public comments and then open it to discussion amongst the commission. This is an item we will have to vote on, so ideally looking for a motion at some point.
Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
Chair, I don't have any further discussion points, but I don't know if Commissioner Orozco has any.
I don't have any further discussion points as well.
So I'll go
Then
back to you.
Then I would make a motion.
Wonderful.
Okay. So after considering this staff report and receiving public input regarding the proposed crosswalk enhancements, I'm going to make a motion that the commission request the staff to seek city council authorization to advertise the project for construction bids later this year based on a design concept as reflected in this presentation.
Thank you. Before I call for a vote, I just want to take a moment and thank Mr. McBride for coming out this evening, as well as our Dr. Conley and Ms. Anderson for phoning in, voicing their support. It's always great to hear from the public, even if, it's a pretty non-controversial item. We're all here for safety. It's been said again and again today. But taking time out of your night to come and talk to us and voice your support really, it not only reaffirms the great work that staff does, but reaffirms our role here today. So with that, I will go ahead and ask Mrs. Vasquez to please call a vote.
Okay. Commissioner Orozco,
Yes.
Chair Pletcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Amell,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 3-0. Okay, the Traffic Commission makes recommendations to the City Council, and interested parties may attend the City Council meeting and speak either for or against the recommendation of the Traffic Commission. Any person wishing to appeal a decision of the Traffic Commission shall file a written appeal and pay an appeal fee with the City Clerk Department within 14 calendar days of this decision. The matter will be referred to the City Council at the earliest reasonable and available date. The appeal fee will be refunded only if the City Council overturns the Traffic Commission's decision. An appeal form is available from the recording secretary.
Thank you. And with that, we'll go ahead and move on to item 10B. Lynn Road and Hillcrest Drive bike lane and pedestrian improvements. And with that, we have a second engineer's report. It's an information item to be presented by engineering associate Mr. Razavi. Did I get that right?
Yes.
I get points for that.
That
All
was
right.
actually, you get extra points for that.
Thank you. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Pletcher, and good evening, Commissioners. I'm Masood Razavi, an engineering associate in the Public Works, in the Capital Projects Division within the Public Works Department. Today, I'm providing you with an update on 2 capital improvement projects. These projects will provide bike lane and pedestrian improvements to segments along Lynn Road and Hillcrest Drive. These have been combined into one presentation since they share similar design elements for the bike lane improvements. They're funded through same grant funding sources and currently are at the same stage of the project design and engineering. The objectives of these projects include improving all modes of transportation safety, particularly pedestrians and cyclists, improving access to transit and shopping, connecting the missing links that exist in sidewalks and bike lanes, and complying with accessibility requirements. The city has an ongoing programs to improve mobility for both pedestrians and cyclists throughout the community, which includes the Active Transportation Program, ATP, and the Local Road Safety Plan, LRSP. These documents provide the blueprint for future citywide prioritized bicycle and pedestrian improvements and demonstrates the city's commitment to providing for a complete streets network of roads that balances the need for all road users, promotes the use of all forms of transportation, and improves air quality. Lynn Road and Hillcrest Drive bike lane and pedestrian projects that we are considering tonight are identified as high priority in these key infrastructure planning documents. So I would like to discuss each project individually, and I'll start with Lynn Road, which is a major arterial roadway that connects the northeast and southwest corners of the city. Highlighted in red is the project limit, which has a posted speed limits of 45 to 50 miles an hour and has a missing link bike lane that's within the Caltrans right-of-way. This image shows a zoomed-in view of the project limits from Gainsborough Road to Wendy Drive. This segment is 4.5 miles long, and except for a short segment above 101 freeway, converts the existing buffered Class 2 bike lanes to a Class 4 bike lane with flexible and reflective delineated posts. Now, a Class 2 bike lane is a dedicated lane separated from the automobile lane with striping, and a Class 4 bike lane is a dedicated bike lane that is separated from automobile lane with a physical element rather than just striping. So I would like to mention that when I refer to Class 4 bike lanes in this presentation, the new Class 4 bike lanes will include the flexible and reflective delineated posts. A segment of the project is within Caltrans's right-of-way. In this segment, we'll restripe the roadway, convert northbound travel lane number 3 to a Class 4 bike lane, make improvements to the bridge, as well as improve the uncontrolled pedestrian crossings with rectangular rapid flashing beacons, the RRFBs. These are the same devices that Mr. Acker described to you a few minutes ago. The majority of the construction cost, about 90%, is associated with improvements located in this short segment. In the next few slides, I'll take you through the improvements from Hillcrest Drive through Caltrans right-of-way, since this segment involves lane width modifications and a lane reduction in the northbound direction. The proposed improvements are we're adding a marked crosswalk and installing new ADA accessible ramps. We're converting an existing equestrian trail to a Class 4 bike lane. Restripe northbound lane as shown below. Here we'll convert lane number 3 to a Class 4 bike lane. We'll install high visibility bike striping, install flexible and reflective delineator posts, and install marked crosswalk with yield line and RRFB. In this segment, install bike push button. We'll modify the signal head and modify the on-ramp signal to prohibit turning when bike signal is on. Add high visibility bike striping at both ramps. The bridge work will include, on the west side, we'll remove existing barrier, as you see on the right, and install concrete barrier, including fencing with strip LED lighting. On the east side, we'll replace the existing fencing, as you see on the left, to match the one on the west side with LED lighting. Restriping the roadway as shown below. Width of the southbound travel lanes will be reduced to 12 feet. Reduce northbound travel lanes from 3 lanes to 2, and add Class 4 bike lane in both northbound and southbound directions. And reduce off-ramp right turn radius with striping and delineators. In this segment, we'll add high visibility bike striping. We'll reconstruct curb ramps across Lynn Road, restripe as shown in the cross section. We'll reduce lane number 2 width in northbound and southbound directions to 12 feet and add a Class 4 bike lane, as well as installing marked crosswalk with yield line and RRFB at the on-ramp. Within the city's right-of-way, as shown in the cross section below, the project will convert the existing Class 2 buffered bike lanes between US 101 and Wendy Drive to Class 4 bike lanes. These improvements, including the number of travel lanes and the type of bike lanes, will be consistent throughout the project. This is a list of items required as part of Caltrans's process for oversight, permitting, and approval of these proposed improvements in their right-of-way. This details the number of hurdles that the staff will be navigating through in this project. The funding sources for this project include $5.3 million from state and federal grants and $330,000 from city's gas tax. This table shows the project timeline beginning in the spring of this year, and after Caltrans's approval of the project report and environmental documents, we will return to this commission and city council for design review. Just to note, we are at early stages of this project and are in process of reviewing a cooperative agreement with Caltrans. Now we'll look at the Hillcrest Drive improvements. Hillcrest runs east-west and connects Westlake Boulevard to Teller Road. Except for the project limits highlighted in red, this road is striped as a 1 or 2 lane roadway in each direction. This is a zoomed-in view of the project limits from Moore Park Road to Lynn Road. This portion is a 1.25 mile long, 6-lane divided roadway with raised center medians and without bike lanes. Improvements within this area will include converting travel lane number 3 to Class 4 bike lanes in both directions and constructing the pedestrian sidewalk from McLeod Avenue to Lynn Road. That's shown in blue on top. This is a segment of Hillcrest Drive. The cross-section below shows the existing 3 travel lanes in each direction on the left and on the right are the proposed improvements, the 2 travel lanes and a separated bike lane in each direction. These are preliminary striping plans for Hillcrest from Moore Park Road at the bottom right to Lynn Road at the top left. This slide shows the proposed improvements for both the roadway in red and the sidewalks in blue. This sidewalk from McLeod to Lynn is the missing link sidewalk in this stretch of Hillcrest. The funding sources for this project include $2.8 million from state and federal grants and $61,000 from city's gas tax. This table shows the project's timeline, which will begin in spring of this year with a department report to City Council, and after completion of the environmental documents, we will return to this commission and City Council for design review. Similar to Lynn Road, we're at early stages of this project. Our outreach efforts included for Lynn Road, City has received general and preliminary comments from Caltrans as part of their review of the city's ATP grant application. And for Hillcrest, public outreach was performed by our traffic division and was reviewed by Traffic Commission in July of 2021. This outreach focused on potential reduction of lanes on Hillcrest Drive from 6 lanes to 4 and adding a buffered bike lane in each direction. The feedback from a questionnaire resulted in 230 responses, with 73% in favor of improvements and 23% opposed to. The Traffic Commission meeting is the first step in our public outreach, continued by a department report to City Council. These meetings will offer the public opportunities to provide feedback to the city on the proposed pedestrian and bicycle enhancements. As we move ahead, we'll conduct further outreach efforts for both projects, including focus meetings with Oaks Mall at different stages of project development. Recommendations at this stage of these projects are to consider staff report, receive public input, and provide feedback. Of course, after completion of community outreach, traffic studies, and environmental reviews, the project design concepts will be brought back to the Traffic Commission for additional review, recommendations, and input in advance of project construction. This concludes our presentation for the Lynn Road and Hillcrest Drive bike lane and pedestrian improvements projects, and we'll be glad to answer any project-related questions. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Does any of the commissioners have questions for staff at this time? Commissioner.
Yeah. So one question that I have is with regard to the physical barrier that you have up nicely there. I was just curious why the flexible reflective posts were selected as opposed to something a bit more fixed or permanent, like a cement strip or other options. Just curious.
Yeah, I think I can start with that. I think there's a few factors. We're seeing that these flexible posts are becoming widely used in other agencies. Also, the cost differential to do a more permanent structure there, given the length of the project, how many miles long it is, would be upwards of a few $1 million extra in cost. And then thirdly, these allow some flexibility for whether there is a utility company needs to go in there to do some repair work, or there's a bus turnout has to be installed, or things change over the course of time. It allows the design and the roadway to continue to be optimized without having to do a lot of reconstruction and demolition.
And I just want to add one more thing too, is if you notice the width of that buffered area where we're going to put these delineators, it's limited. So if you put something physical in there, it might, it could be become more of a hazard. So something like this, we want to start small, and then take a look, because these are, again, as Nader indicated, they are widely used. So we want to go with what I guess sort of what most areas are using, and go, move on if we need to.
Any other questions? Okay. Just kind of as a piggyback follow up there. Obviously, over the long term, I'm incredibly excited that we're continuing to hear and this progress, these projects progress. Was this just for confirmation? Was this something that I want to say a year and a half ago? I think Kathy brought us, right? Okay, this is the same. Okay. What's the cost on obviously replacement over time of these delineators? Because cars are cars, and inevitably one or two will get nicked over time. And I'm just curious, is this long term? Obviously, they seem affordable because they seem to be moving towards the industry standard of what's going on. I'm just kind of curious on the cost.
Okay. Yeah, I think these the unit cost depending on what type you're going to get. I mean, you can get real inexpensive types. The ones here are a little bit more costly because they have a nice base to it, and they're probably more of, instead of a glue down, more of a some kind of metal bolt to bolt it down. So the cost on these is probably in the area of like $150 each.
Oh wow, okay. I mean, I'm just excited we're getting some Class 4s in Thousand Oaks. That's just, we're progressing so nicely just with our bike infrastructure improvements. I wanted just to highlight or just follow up on one of the goals you had mentioned in your presentation was ADA compliance and ADA improvements. You spoke a lot, obviously, about the bike lane improvements. Can you just walk me through and highlight some of those ADA improvements? Because I think they're important for not only us to talk about, but for the public to kind of understand, us making those essential improvements for pedestrians.
I'll go. One of the, if you looked at when you saw the, am I not on? Okay, I'm on. Okay. I can show you I got to go back a few slides. Up. I apologize for all of this. And let's get to this part. Actually, two elements here on, this is Hillcrest and Lynn Road. On the south leg of Hillcrest and Lynn Road, there is no crosswalk, and there's no ADA ramps at that location. So that makes it easier that's one of the enhancements that we will be making. That entire corner would be, including that rapid flashing beacon that we will have for that. And then at the same time, I'm going to flip through all of this. And that's the other enhancement that we're making on, this is the off-ramp southbound side of the Caltrans right-of-way. We are upgrading those crosswalks. If you go out there right now, they're a couple feet wide, and yeah. So that's going to be our second improvements, ADA compliance improvement.
Thank you. I think that's great. Just, I mean, even the perception of feeling a little bit safer with that. A lot of neighborhoods are behind there, and people walk to the mall, and I think those are absolutely essential improvements. I wanted to ask you, in your schedule for both projects, and again, it kind of comes back to the first question regarding the delineators and other design elements. Design hasn't been finalized, right? You're gonna obviously, as you get funding, working with Caltrans and checking those boxes, then you're gonna kind of finalize design and come back to this. Is that my understanding?
That's correct.
Okay.
Right now, the only design that we have, and that's just a preliminary design, is for Hillcrest. The sketches that you saw, has been done. That's as far as we've gone. On Lynn Road, this is just the concept plan that we have, and everything is going to revolve around what Caltrans wants to an extent within their right-of-way. But outside of that is going to be something that we can design, we can get to fairly quick.
And I think those improvements on Hillcrest, though, in line with what our Planning Commission and City Council is doing with the general plan and the update and the rezoning, I want to applaud staff for already being on that with the forward-thinking nature of just pedestrian traffic and travel. And I know we had discussed lane restriping in 2021, and I had an opportunity to attend those hearings, and it was majority positive. So I appreciate your work in getting on this, because these are essential to encourage growth in that area. So thank you. I'll turn back. Do we have any other questions or comments from the commission? Yes.
Thank you, Chair. So are the ADA compliance measures that you just pointed out to us, are those legally mandated? If we're working in the street and we're enhancing the bike lanes and so on and so forth, are we legally mandated at that point to come into compliance with ADA protocols?
Sorry. I believe we are, with some of the improvements that we're doing in this section that you're seeing on the southbound off-ramp. This one is something that we've added, but when we did make those changes to the Hillcrest and Lynn crosswalk, when we added that became, yes, it's mandated.
Thank you.
And if there are no other questions, I'll go ahead and turn to the public, give the public an opportunity to speak on this item before the commission begins further discussion. Mrs. Vasquez, do we have any speakers for this report tonight?
No individuals have requested to speak on this item, and for the record, no written statements have been submitted.
Thank you. With that, I'll go ahead and close the public comment and public hearing, and turn back to commissioners for any further questions or discussion. Okay. This is not an item we need to vote on, but I will say, I'm really excited to get these improvements done for our biking community, and I live more towards on the far side of Lynn, and I see bikers just since the restriping. I mean, I feel like there's been a significant increase in bikers all up and down Lynn, and the community is certainly appreciative. So well done, and we'll go ahead and move on to item 10C then. Item 10C is our Traffic and Transportation Advisory Commission regular meeting date. Consider change from the third Wednesday of each month. And with that, we have Senior Engineer Jim Mashiko to present this third report.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Chair Pletcher. I just have a brief report, no PowerPoint on this one. This item is for the Commission to consider changing our current meeting schedule from the third Wednesday of each month to an alternative Wednesday or Thursday of each month. As you may be aware, the school district recently revised its governing board meeting schedule, which results in a conflict with our Traffic Commission meeting that's held on the third Wednesday of each month. Last month this happened. The school district's governing board meeting schedule was changed from Thursdays to the first and third Wednesdays of the month, and to increase public access to both school district and traffic commission meetings, the commission may consider modifying the current third Wednesday schedule to avoid this conflict. This would be in line with the City Council goal number 2, which is to provide municipal government leadership which is open and responsive to residents. So in the staff report, if you notice, there is a table that summarizes the alternative meeting days that are options that are available. Mondays and Tuesdays are not viable since those are Planning Commission and City Council meeting dates. Based on the table, the first, second, and third Thursdays of each month are viable, as well as the fourth and Wednesday and fourth Thursdays of each month are possible, except on those fourth Wednesdays and Thursdays during the months of November and December, there are conflicts due to the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. And so if the commission should vote to change this current third Wednesday meeting date to an alternative date, we will take report to City Council with the Traffic Commission's recommended date, as well as to change the Traffic Commission resolution regarding this change of date. So if this is the path the commission chooses, we anticipate council will review this matter next month, and then the meeting date change would go into effect probably about April, pending city council approval. So this concludes the report, and we'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mashiko. Do any of our commissioners have questions for staff? Commissioner Immel.
Thank you, Chair. So does staff have a recommended or a preferential alternate date?
I think when we looked at our schedules, the fourth Wednesday of the month makes the most sense to us in terms of the other dates that we looked at with other meetings and other matters that we have to attend to.
Yeah, and if I could add, that also keeps the meeting on a Wednesday, which it always has been, so it's not maybe as much of a departure. Some of the Thursdays, you get close to holiday weekends, it becomes difficult for the public or others to, it may reduce participation to some degree. Wednesday's still middle of the week, so. We've also done, as we did 2 months ago, we had scheduled, if necessary, and if we do want to meet in December and avoid a Christmas conflict, we can schedule a special meeting alternatively to avoid that conflict if we keep it on Wednesdays, on the fourth Wednesday.
Thank you.
Any further questions from commissioners? And I appreciate you already answered my question on I figured we could do special meetings if absolutely necessary.
We also, just for information, while the other commissioners weren't able to attend, they have not indicated any conflicts with any of the dates here.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Do we have any public speakers for this engineering report, Mrs. Vasquez?
Again, no individuals have requested to speak on this item, and for the record, 0 written statements have been submitted.
Thank you. Any further questions for staff? Okay, I'll go ahead and actually close, apologies to the city attorney, I'll close the public comment period and then open it up to discussion amongst the commission. And I think with our I'll just open it up, and I think with our flexible, we have a smorgasbord of options here in front of us with the table, but we have a recommendation of the fourth Wednesday of the month, and with our ability to, have special meetings if necessary. Staff has always been very communicative. They communicate very well if they have issues or items for us to consider. That's where I'm at, but I'm certainly open up to any of the commissioners if they have any other questions, comments, or want to make a motion on this. Commissioner Emil.
Thank you, Chair. Any day of the week works as well as any other for me, just about. So if it's the staff's preference that we move the meeting to the fourth Wednesday of every month, I've got no objection with that. And if any of the other commissioners have any comments, I can make a motion.
Commissioner Roscoe?
No further comments other than, if that works best for staff, I'm open to that.
Then do you have a motion, sir?
Yes, thanks, Chair. So I will make a motion that the Traffic and Transportation Advisory Commission move our regularly scheduled monthly meetings from the third Wednesday of each month to the fourth Wednesday of each month. Does that work for everyone? That's okay.
Yeah, just a clarification on the motion. This would be a recommendation to the city council. They have the authority to set the meeting dates and times.
Correct. Thank you. Council. It is a recommendation that we move our regularly scheduled monthly meetings from the third Wednesday to the fourth Wednesday.
If no further discussion, Mrs. Vasquez, please call the vote.
Okay. Commissioner Roscoe,
Yes.
Chair Pletcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Amell.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. And moving on to our item 11, status reports of prior traffic commission recommendations. I don't know if, like me, you might have tuned in yesterday to find out what the city council would do on this item, but do we have a report from Mr. Hadari?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I can provide a verbal report. The City Council considered the item last night, which the Traffic Commission had helped create the recommendation for, which was the new crossing guard policy and program. They voted 4-1 in favor of adopting that new program with 2 small modifications. One is that there's an additional inclusion on the first page that emphasizes the desire to work with the Conejo Valley Unified School District to promote walking to school, which the city will be doing in partnership with the Conejo Valley Unified School District. And the second item is that the policy will not, year 1 of the policy will go into effect on the upcoming school year. So this counts, while we will still do them this spring, will not be utilized officially to make any decisions or changes to any schools. It will be next year's counts will be the year 1, and then the following year's counts in spring of 2025 will be the counts that are used if a school has failed to meet the requisite counts 2 years in a row. The ones in spring 2025 would be the ones that would be utilized to make any changes to the program, which would go into effect in the 2025-2026 school year. So that's the quick summary of it. The Attorney Doran can indicate if I missed anything.
No, that was an excellent summary.
Thank you.
Thank you, staff. I don't hear any comments or anything else from commissioners, so we'll go on to item 12, commission referrals from December 7th, 2022. We have none. Moving on to item 13, the work program and commission schedule. Turning to future agenda items, do we have any of the commissioners have any questions for staff? Okay. Just a kind of a follow-up to the report. Obviously, we do our traffic counts in spring and we get some kind of informational item. I mean, is that, being that they kind of set year 0 so far out, should we look for that in the future? Or we are going to do the counts and kind of hold the cards close to the chest, or do we get a report this spring? Or do we know?
I think we since we would have the counts, we would it would be a good, I think, to share and look at them and spread the information. So we would plan to bring them.
Well, good.
Yeah.
And I
as an information item, yeah.
You know, and I certainly would support that, just based on the other item or the other part of the small change you noted with wanting to work with the school district and promote walking. It seems like a right move. Any other questions for staff from any of my fellow commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Emmel.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just following up on your last comment. So if I understand correctly, the counts that are going to be done in the spring, they really don't have any effect. They really don't have any effect in terms of the policy that was recommended and approved. But they're more, I mean, my understanding is they're more of an informational item for the city, because you've been taking counts every year, and why would you stop it for 1 year, even if it really has no impact on policy? Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct. We have a history of taking the counts every year. I think 2020 was the only year that was skipped, obviously during COVID and so forth. But because of that, we want to maintain the continuity, and we will take these counts and still share them with the commission here and with the school district, just so people can be well informed that, if certain schools continue to, have very little pedestrian activity, then we want to utilize that and leverage that somehow to maybe motivate the school to do different. Now, there does seem to be some campuses potentially that are of a different character nowadays. Maybe they're not as much of a neighborhood school like they used to be. Maybe they're a regional school because people are coming in for certain reason, magnet school or something. So there may be more to the picture in terms of particular schools just may not ever be able to have the pedestrian counts because people are coming from all over the city. But that probably doesn't apply to all of them. That's maybe just a few of them. But the more information, the better, we think.
Sure. Thank you.
Move on to item 14, and I think we folded the two together. Any Traffic Commission comments? Okay, hearing none. Move on to item 15. Discussion and possible cancellation of the March 15th, 2023 meeting. Mr. Hodari.
Yeah, in consideration of that, the City Council will be reviewing at their March 14th meeting is the anticipated date that they will be considering modifying the Traffic Commission resolution to go with the alternative dates. That's too close to the next regularly scheduled third Wednesday meeting in March, and that date in March also conflicts with the school district meeting. So it's I guess recommended that we do not have a meeting in March until the new meeting schedule can be defined by the City Council.
Is this something that you'd like a vote on?
Yeah, two things. Ultimately, yeah, I think there should be a vote on the cancellation of the March meeting. With regard to the date that's listed in the agenda for April 19th, is that still the third Wednesday of the month?
Yes.
So if the meeting dates do get changed, will that date still be applicable?
No.
So if I guess my recommendation would be if the commission desires to cancel the meeting in March, that we state that we'll cancel the meeting in March and then adjourn to a date uncertain.
But council, the date will be subject to notice. So
yeah,
that's absolutely correct. So once the city council makes a decision on the meeting date, we'll know that, we'll let everybody know. And then, as always, the agenda will be, posted at least 72 hours before the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Council. So I guess to break down what we just heard, be looking for a motion to cancel the March 15th meeting, and then we can take kind of the second part of that, which is we can adjourn to a date uncertain at this time.
Chair, I can make a motion.
Thank you. Commissioner Immel.
Okay, so in light of the existing scheduling conflict between school board meetings and the Traffic Commission meetings, I would move that the commission cancel our meeting for March 15th of 2023, and that we adjourn until a date which is not yet set, but which will be duly noticed once we know what that date is.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Vasquez, can you please call the vote?
Okay, Commissioner Orozco,
Yes.
Chair Pletcher,
Yes.
and Commissioner Amell.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. So with that, we will adjourn to a date uncertain. Onward we go. Good night.